Check this out, it is the Porsche Macan Turbo and it's taken years, but finally, it's electric. Yes, the Germans are back, and this is a fantastic piece of re-engineering because the Macan's now electric. Okay, now let's talk price and range, and I'm gonna sit down for this and you should too. Okay, brand new, this car will set you back $225,000. For that, you get 590 Ks out of a charge, and as you're about to see, well, it's pretty sprightly. Now, I'm not a Porscheologist, but I am impressed at how quickly and how well Porsche have adapted to going electric in so many of their models, because there are some car makers out there, I'm not going to name names, their heart's not in it with electric vehicles, and it shows with their products. They're not exactly brilliant. Not with this car though. The minute you get in it, you notice that they've done it well. Everything about the drivetrain feels good. Everything about the fit and finish is good. I mean, this is why you're paying megabucks, because I mean, look at the materials they've used. Carbon fiber sections in the doors, the use of textiles, the stitching work, the feeling that everything's tight. It feels really good. It feels quality. We'll get more to interior details and specs in a sec. Right now, I want to talk about the flavors of Macan you can get. There are 4 flavors, and they start at 162 grand for the entry-level one. That's actually, I mean, that's a lot of money, but for a Porsche, a brand new Porsche, that's not outrageous. Then, of course, it goes all the way up to this. This is, well, the stupid one. This is the one that does 0 to 100 supposedly in 3.3 seconds. We'll test that later. Bugger me. Oh, there's another Porsche. Hello. Oh, he's got the combustion one. That's slow. This is electric and with overboost and launch control activated. Somehow, this Macan Turbo can pull 470 kilowatts of energy out of the battery pack, the drivetrain, and put it to the motor, to the wheels. That is, wait till you hear the torque. 1130 torquing Isaacs. 1130 Isaac Newtons, that's how much torque it has, which means it runs the risk of actually making me feel something if I were to put my foot down. That scares me because I am quite proudly dead inside. But crawling around the side streets of Auckland, it doesn't feel like a high performance Porsche. It feels placid. It feels like a heavily sedated bear. It's a fairly grisly analogy. But honestly, I think the reason it's so comfortable is its 100 kilowatt hour battery pack strapped to the underside. 95 kilowatt hours is usable, but the battery pack, the battery weight, means that this entire car, well, it's just shy of 2.5 tons. That's quite a lot of weight. But despite that, all the stupidly high power figures I gave you a second ago, it means that it gets up to speed 3.3 seconds, 0 to 100. It is staggering. It's hard to believe that I'm driving what is basically a supercar, and it doesn't feel like it. What a neat problem to have. I'm going to test that acceleration later. First, I just want to talk about design. Now, Porsche have 200 intelligent, driven, creative people just in their design team alone. 200 people in their design team. But they've kind of painted themselves into a corner because Porsche have to keep the design looking like a Porsche. They're hamstrung because, one, they've got to create a design that's new and interesting and different, but at the same time it has to be familiar, otherwise, well, then it's just not a Porsche. In this instance, I think they've done pretty well. It still looks like a Macan, but now it's electric. They've given it a new look that reflects its new drivetrain, but I think it still works. I mean, look at the exterior design. It's sleek, it's fancy, it's upmarket. I think overall, I think they've hit the mark with this. But if that's not enough, then go to Porsche's website to their design configurator for this model, and you can add no fewer than 13 different paint colors for this car, each a hard out Tesla. And not only that, 10 of those are included in the price. But wait, there's more. If you want to then change the wheels to suit your car, well, you've got no fewer than 9 different wheel options. Plus, with a click of a button, you can choose what color you want those wheels to be painted. Yeah, I love this about Porsche. It's endlessly customizable. It's something that you only get with upmarket cars. My favorite thing about Porsche is the interior design options you can get. You can get truffle brown leather in this car. I know what your first reaction is going to be. Ugh. Don't let it be, because in an upmarket car, I promise you, brown leather does not age. I know you're probably thinking, oh, I remember brown leather from the 70s. But tell you what, it was only in the upmarket cars and they still look good today. This is going to be the same. Okay, granted, all those optional extras do come at a fairly chonky price, But without them, you run the risk of having a horrifying thought, a Porsche that could be duller than a night out with me. I promise you, you don't want that. Talking of interior, let's move on to comfort, and this is such a comfortable car just to be cruising around on. Granted, Tamaki Drive does have very smooth roads, but this is a very comfortable car. The seats help as well. These seats that I'm in right now, they're electronically adjustable in 18 different ways, including like the little squab at the front of the seat here. Anything you can think of. It's just so comfortable. It also has, as you would expect, seated heats. Yes, both the driver's seat and the passenger seat are heated, as are the seats in the back. However, it goes one step further. The driver and the passenger also have ventilated seats, which if you're a psychopath, you can turn them both on at once. How big are these seats, you might be asking? Well, I'd say they're average in size. If you're a big person, you're going to spill over the side a little bit because, I mean, they are sort of racing-inspired seats. They've got a lot of support. That doesn't always work in the favor of bigger people. As for getting in and out of the car though, the seat height at its lowest setting, I measured it at 68 centimeters. So if you are of, well, let's face it, Porsche buying age, which means that sort of thing is important to you. As for space, well, I am 5'10", which is 178 centimeters, and I've got heaps of headroom above me, heaps of headroom, lots of legroom. Not the same case for the back, unfortunately. The back is a little bit snugger. Legroom's not amazing. Head height's also, there's only just a little bit above my head. So if you're going to be hauling 4 people who are all 6'2", this might not be the car for you. Moving back though, into the boot. Pop the boot, it is electronically openable. Openable, is that a word? But it also has 480 litres of space back there, so heaps of room for the Mafia test. If you need more, you can lift up the boot floor and get disappointed because the subwoofer, as you can see, takes up all the space. But with a push of a button, you can drop those back seats down and suddenly you can lie down in it, well, sort of. It's not exactly a car suitable for camping. You can lie down, but you have to sit the seats all the way forward, otherwise you're going to basically have a 90-degree neck. But wait, there's more storage. If you go to the front of the car and push a button on the remote to open up the bonnet, yep, it pops open with just a button, you will see an 84-litre fartment or front compartment up there, which is perfect for storing potatoes. Honestly, it's kind of impressive how much room they've jammed into that fartment and what is a fairly compact looking front. Basically, it's bigger than the plot holes in Titanic. There were room for 2 people on that cabinet. Let's move on to gadgets now though, and included in the price, which is a nice change, is an augmented reality heads-up display. So it's more than just your regular speed and directions, but also it puts up arrows on the screen so you can see when you're supposed to turn and which direction. Another gadget you get included in the price is the electric sports sound from Porsche, which if I switch the dial from normal, and where you can barely hear it, into sport mode, you hear that? It's there, it's angry. Now, up until recently, I was always not a big fan of sports sounds like fake engine noises in cars, until I drove recently the Hyundai Ioniq 5N, and that's a Hyundai Ioniq 5, but they've jazzed it up. It's got body panels, it sits lower, it's wider, and it's also got fake gear changes with paddles on the side of the steering wheel, fake engine noise, and I know it sounds corny, but you've got to try it. Now, Porsche has a similar sound, but it hasn't got to the same crazy extreme. Like, for example, in this one, I don't even have paddles to change gears or adjust the regen braking in this, but ooh, having the noise there, I know it's not real, but it makes me want to do crime. It makes me want to speed. Okay, I'm going to turn that off because it's going to get me in trouble. Other gadgets you get included in the price, you get 4-zone automatic climate control. However, it's got an air filter, but if you want to go one step further, then what I would suggest doing is getting the clean air package, which comes with an air ionizer and a particulate matter filter as well, which is great because in Auckland there's still a lot of diesels, and now we know that diesel's really, really bad for our health. So switch that thing on if you've got the optional extra, scrubs the air clean, keeps it like a little cocoon of safety for you and your loved ones. Another gadget you get included in the price is a digital radio, which no one cares about because it's 2024 and you use Spotify, right? Which is good because it has Apple and Android connectivity, wireless as well. It's got wireless Android and Apple, plus it's got a phone charger built in right here, which fits my phone, which is a little bit large, but it fits in there neatly, charges away happily. As standard, the sound system in the Porsche is brilliant. It's a Bose system, and you've seen the subwoofer in the back. However, if you want to beef up your sound system, you also have the option of getting the Burmester sound system. Now, it is more than $6,000, which is a lot of money. And I'm not sure a car is always the best environment to showcase the world's best sound systems, but you do have the option if you want a little bit of doof-doof. But the piece of resistance, the coolest gadget that you can get for this car, and this is going to impress Honda drivers from the early 90s, you can get 4-wheel steering. Yes, it's a few grand extra, but you can get steering on the rear axle that will steer the back up to 5 degrees, which makes a massive difference, not only on the racetrack, but just in the city. It just makes this car so navigatable. It just like goes around corners like this. I mean, that was effortless. That was 38 k's an hour. That's just effortless. The lumbering Mitsubishi SUV behind me sort of bolted its fat way around the corner. Not this. This hugged the corner with those massive tyres. Oh, I can't wait to get this thing on the road. Speaking of which, let's go hit the motorway and see what it's like with its automated driving. Now we're on the motorway, I want to show an interesting feature this car has. In the heads-up display, if a car pulls in front of you, if you're too close to that vehicle, an arrow comes up in front of the vehicle on your display and it hovers around the vehicle. So it identifies which hazard is the one to be looking at if there's lots of problems happening around you. It's brilliant, I've never seen that before. Now, as for driving modes, it has different driving modes. You've got, obviously we're in normal mode, it's got sport and then sport plus, but it's also got an off-road mode. So if you were to slip that on, suddenly the car raises up. It's pretty impressive. It takes about 30-40 seconds for it to reach its maximum height. Same goes if you put it into Sport Plus mode, the whole car slams right down. It goes sort of seesawing at the front, then the back, makes its way back down to the ground level. Now, you can go one step further when you're on the motorway, or probably the racetrack, which is where it's designed. You can push a button on the dashboard and look at that, a little rear spoiler pops up, probably just for decoration, doing 77 k's an hour, but it looks cool. As for regen braking, it has it, but it's not adjustable. So if you take your foot off the accelerator, it will slow down, but only about the same as a combustion engine would. Now, nothing about that is by mistake. It's all intentional. Porsche have obviously designed the regen braking to be not adjustable, but familiar to those making the move from combustion to electric. Now though, I'm going to turn on the adaptive cruise and let the car do the braking and the accelerating for me. Unfortunately, it doesn't have level 2 autonomous driving. It won't do the steering as well. So you've got to keep your hands on the wheel, but it will brake and accelerate for you. At least it's doing half the job. One thing I do want to talk about though is the efficiency of this car. Like its drag coefficient for a start is 25.25. That's pretty good. That's almost as good as a Tesla Model 3, which is a stupidly slippery car. It means that this car slides through the air really well despite its size and its shape. It means that efficiency is about 18.8 units of electricity per 100k. That's how much it drinks, which for such a heavy car, for such a powerful car, that's impressive. That's a really slippery figure. That's how it gets that supposedly 590 k's per charge. It also means that if you were to run this thing off solar panels, and I just put some on my own roof, it means that you are driving for free. Like, you have to pay road user charges like a diesel, but unlike a diesel, this is fast, this is clean, and, well, it doesn't suck. Switch over to Ecotricity because it's guilt-free electricity. It is New Zealand's only certified climate-positive electricity provider. It's only wind, hydro, and solar. That's all it is. That's why it's also really affordable. So sign up now at ecotricity.co.nz. Right now, though, I'm going to go take this to my top secret driving road and let's see how accurate that 3.3 seconds to 100 really is. And here's the wait you've been momenting for. I've got an empty slice of road in the middle of nowhere. I'm the only car on the road. Let us test the 0 to 100 time. Launch control activated in 3, 2, 1. Bugger me. Far out. Oh man. Wow. Wow. Oh, I got chills. Oh, wow. 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 Far out. Crikey. Okay, so it's brutal with acceleration. What's it like on the corners? My top secret driving road's right over there. Let's go try it out. All right, this is my top secret driving road. I'm not going to tell you where it is because then you'll be here every weekend. And let's face it, I'm selfish. I want it to myself. Okay, so we know it's 2.5 tons, this thing. I put it into Sport Plus mode, and it means that the suspension's toughened up. It's even harder than it was before. And that's because it has adaptive air suspension with 2 valve dampers. In simple terms, it just means that it'll take medium bumps in its stride and massive bumps too. And that is, well, let's face it, it's kind of handy on New Zealand's road surfaces, which are best described as lunar, I think is the nice way to say it. But, oh, the result is that this thing sticks. It just feels so stable as you would expect it to because it's a Porsche. But it also means, with its massive tyres and its stupidly low centre of gravity, it clings to the road like like crude oil on a penguin, which is a horrible analogy, but it should remind you that that if this thing that doesn't use crude oil, it doesn't burn anything, if this provides just as good of experience. In fact, even better, it's got better performance, more binary raw power. If this is better than combustion, why bother with combustion? This car's been wasted on this road. It needs to be on the track. I mean, oh wow. This thing's vicious. It's everything you could possibly want in a car. This is why every time I drive a Porsche, I end up with this stupid grin on my face. This is why you have a Porsche. Porsche owners watching this, you already know the drill, right? This is nothing new. You're rolling your eyes because, oh, has he just discovered that? But no, it really is. It really is a feeling like nothing else. I also like that when it's in Sport Plus mode, if you go over 90 k's an hour or so, the spoiler goes up and down depending on your driving style. So if I brake and accelerate, it's going up and down, trying to help me slow down, speed up. It's really brilliant. And what is it about this car that just makes me smile so much? Because I've driven the Tesla Model 3 on this road, the performance version, and it's a very accomplished car, but there's something about this one that just has that little bit of X factor. Oh, if you end up buying one of these things, please promise me you'll take it on a track. I mean, it's fun on the roads, but it's limited by obviously traffic speed laws and of course the concern that there could be someone coming the other way in a blind corner. If you're going to get one of these, take it to Hampton Downs. Oh, promise me that, because it needs to be on the track. It's being wasted here. It wants to stretch its legs. It wants to break the law. Oh, gosh, I forgot the road ends. Okay, well, I guess we better come back down to earth. Still, we've got important things to discuss yet. We need to figure out what the real world range is, what its real efficiency is like, and of course, how many potatoes does the dashboard hold? This is important consumer information. So without further delay, let's do the Spud score. Starting with performance, and it gets 10 out of 10 Spuds because that 0 to 100 time is just brutal. Next is handling, and I'm giving it 10 Spuds again because honestly, I cannot fault it. As for comfort, a very high 8 Spuds. While it's a little snug for larger people, it is a very comfortable and quiet vehicle, either when crawling along in city traffic or on the open road. As for efficiency, 7 Spuds there. It's good considering it's 2.5 tons. I averaged around 20.5 units of electricity per 100 k's with moderate open road driving, meaning you'll likely get around 470 k's with highway only driving and closer to 550 k's with moderate city driving. Gadgetry's next, and I'm giving it 8 out of 10 potatoes. It is a very intelligent vehicle with a lot of proactive gadgetry, like it'll specify hazards near you while driving, it'll remind you if you leave your phone in the car, heck, it'll even raise or lower the entire car using these buttons in the boot, all just to make your life easier. It's fantastic, but it's not perfect. Many options are expensive extras, plus it doesn't offer vehicle to load, which can take mains power out of the car, which is a shame because you could power your appliances for weeks with that massive battery. Value's next, and I'm giving it 10 out of... No, I'm kidding. It's not a cheap machine, and it doesn't try to be. And even though it's good, I mean, good lord, it's fantastic to drive. It almost makes selling your kidneys worth it. But no, honestly, I can only give it 2 Spuds here. As for charging speed, you are going to want to see this. I rocked up to one of ChargeNet's hyper rapid chargers and I plugged in with just 5% charge left in the car, and in just a couple of minutes it had climbed up to 262 kilowatts of charging speed. That's like an entire residential street on a winter's night. It's insane, and it stayed high right up to the goal of 80%, with the entire charge taking just 22.5 minutes. Like 22 minutes for 500 kilometers of driving. Honestly, it's amazing. 10 potatoes there. Well done, Porsche. Style's next, and I asked a few people and they generally found this design pleasing, as do I, but not amazing. Now, it's definitely a Porsche and it definitely looks good, but I have to be honest and say that it doesn't play with my heartstrings, like say the MG Cyberster, which I think is one of those cars you just can't stop staring at. The Macan Turbo, it is attractive, but in my worthless opinion, not breathtakingly beautiful, so 7 Spuds there. But is it fit for purpose? Oh yes, it is a viciously quick track car that can also haul your kids, haul your skis, your golf clubs, plus it can even tow 2 tons. Also, it doesn't beep at you while you're driving, ever. No nagging warning chimes and bongs and alerts and unwanted corrections. It's like the anti-Kia. It's also the sort of vehicle that just makes you feel good. I felt amazing driving it. In fact, this car made me do something I don't normally do. I bought a lotto ticket in the hope that maybe, just maybe, I could hang on to it. But of course, PSC is crucial with any new vehicle, and this one doesn't disappoint, being able to store 64 tubers thanks to its 3 central storage options, which brings the total Spud score of the Porsche Macan Turbo to an impressive 78. And that is the Spud score for the Porsche Macan Turbo. And I've got to say, it is a remarkable piece of engineering. I mean, what's there not to love? Every time I drive a Porsche, I feel really good. And if by chance you buy one, and I don't know, you see me walking down the side of the road and I look at you and we make eye contact as you drive your Macan past, just know that I'm looking at you with envy. Because you get to drive every day the same car that I've just had for a few days, and you get to experience all this on a daily basis. It's not fair. But thank you if you do buy one, because you're making my life more interesting. However, if by pure chance I win the lottery this weekend, I may be going back to the Porsche dealership on Monday and saying, hey, you know that car I'm dropping off? Well, I think I might just take it home for good. Yeah, that'd be nice.